highlights the heat the crowd has on the minds of these players, right? It can be really quite intimidating, but it can make you fly. It can be incredibly powerful. So maybe a team is going to be able to find that confidence there in that live event stage as we kick off with our first map of the day, Sandhawk.
Heading straight over to it, then getting started with Sandhawk, which is nice to see over on the jungle map. Very, very happy to get stuck right back in with Sandhawk. A nice, awkward map to start things off with. Very hectic, gets the players massively warmed up coming into this one.
I mean, yesterday we had a pretty crazy Sandhawk, right? It was kind of insane, actually. It was like, I'm definitely going to the Northwest Island, guys. And then it was like, actually, just kidding. I'm going all the way back down to the Southwest Island. And it really did scupper quite a few teams. I think S2G is the most notable example of that, right? They just weren't able to get too much done. They committed to going on a north rotation, and then they had to go all the way back through Painan over that trifecta compound. It didn't go well, and they finished in 7th with 2 elims, which is probably better than maybe even they could have expected on a circle like that. But are we going to go back up to Cow? Are we going to have a quarry finish? Or are we going to go somewhere a little bit different? Maybe up to the mountains or Camp Alpha?
We had a south finish yesterday, which I think Falcons were quite pleased with, but it was Fenerbahce who absolutely took the cake on that one, getting a really nice compound over towards the western side. But we head back up towards S2G, who have had some of the most circle look possible here on Sandhawk for our entirety of our tournament, from league stage through knockouts, now here over in the finals itself. It's been fun to see. We'll wait on what happens there over on Paradise Resort side, because I think at the moment S2G is much more penned in. There is less space to maneuver around Paradise Resort going forward in the finals here, with our full 16 squads all locked in and solid.
S2G setting up in Paradise Resort. They are chilling for the time being, but Foot are close by and maybe looking to poke their noses in. A little bit closer. Not for the time being, however. K1 split around that cave on the south side. Nothing really massive going to be going on right now. I'm expecting the Southwest Island crossings to potentially be interesting. But then again, Kara might opt to rotate up towards the north, try and go up towards that Paradise Resort. Instead of going around boot camp, they could go up towards the north side. On their current ruin split, they do have that option. Or they could come into conflict with Barsai, who are currently on that trifecta compound split through Painan with Regnum Kaya as well. Could be another option. Not too many conflicts really brewing on that Southwest Island crossing. I'm more interested on this north bridge in terms of who's going to be taking those fights. Are they going to go for some wide rotates? Maybe try and swim across from Hut 10?
I think a lot of teams probably will wait until Zone 2 to try something out here. Ida over in Camp Alpha, not always the nicest of starts for them, especially when you've got to battle through Boars, who very unwilling to give up the chase on that side of the map. Be very, very careful when you come into conflict with them. Like Esports are sending out that outpost though early, John, in Zeptimus towards that eastern side. They stopped doing it after Thunder Talks, gave them a bit of a tough time on the south side, but now Thunder Talks are dropping over towards the northwest. It's not as of a big deal for them.
PW next Ruya have been on a bit of a shocker over the course of yesterday. Their 17 points reflect that 14th place. Not the sort of position that we were thinking they might be able to achieve. They were in the conversation for one of those qualification spots. When it comes to that PMWC spot, they definitely were one of the front runners to be taking one of those spots, but right now they're being overshadowed, and mostly by themselves. I think it's safe to say they have not shone a light at all over the course of yesterday, but they still got 12 more matches to play, and they do have a chance to maybe catch up we have seen some incredible things from the players on that roster. I'm not holding my breath, but I won't say never at the moment. Maybe at the end of the day, if they're still in 14th place, then I'll say never. But for now, I'm still holding on to the thinnest, tiniest, most tenuous strand of hope.
There's a thread. Right? There is a thread that could be woven, something a lot greater here for BWNRX, but the sewing skills have not been ideal. I haven't been, dexterous at all so far. And I think for BWNRX, it would have to be a rather insane change of performance for them. K1 in 7th place with 35 points. It's not bad, honestly. However, I do think when you're looking over towards K1, you're just slightly worried by the amount of games that they live through and basically get a lot of placement points off the back of sort of survival and just hanging on in those really stressful moments. We saw that specifically yesterday over on Erangel, where Silas could not see for the life of him, had to put his glasses on realistically, Kivik inside the vehicle, and just let him get away with it. I think it was a third place in the end. Being sat in a vehicle broadside to Regnum Kaya for about 5 minutes.
It was pretty crazy. I think it was 4th, if I'm reading this right, on game number 4. Just took a look at the match records there. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. Black Esports coming into contact with Kara, who did try and cross over towards boot camp, and they are suffering right now, Blank. They've moved across. Oh, wait, hang on a minute. Did they go for a swim? Have they? Yeah, they have. I think they tried to swim across the water instead of going for a land-based crossing. Black Esports are going to be able to punish that really quite handily. And Kara, there's nothing they can do about this. They are done for.
I will say this, though, by the way, it's a great adjustment coming through from Black Esports. I think this is the first time in a long time we've seen them actually flex out over towards the coastal side of bootcamp and look towards those cliffs. A lot of times they're way more focused over towards the north and the east side. And when on a circle like this, I think that it's completely reasonable to immediately check cliffs. I think if you're not checking cliffs, then you do open yourself up to this possibility of just getting 100% dominated on by a team that creeps up behind you. So for Black Esports, fantastic adjustment. They benefit 3 limbs off it, and a great time to pull that kind of play out here in the finals.
I think, yeah, it's a good time to show development, right? And they'll be happy to profit from that. But 13th place right now, Black Esports still have a long way to go. So the circle there popping again up towards Paradise Resort. Good news for S2G. They can just keep a lookout. You can see Icy on his eagle perch there. Eagle-eyed out over the surrounding forest. We'll try and stop anyone from pushing on in. Fireflux. Okay, hang on a minute. There's 2 teams here. Their nameplates are similar colours, but no, it's Bra and Fireflux both trying to take this compound on the junction. Matcap on the outside has taken a little bit of damage. They have this smoke screen. They're trying to invest in keeping this one up because you can see BWNRX have a long angle over towards this. I think Barsai as well, off in the distance, have that long angle towards this fight. But for now, Bra and Fireflux separate themselves.
Managed to get themselves out. And then for Bra, it means a whole lot more, right? For Bra, they do not want this smoke. At 9 points on the tables, impossible to really bring that back up to speed for them. But if they were to go down here on Sandhog very early, from what's not a terrible position, honestly, on the map, yeah, that could have been disaster. I think both teams understand that there's not much need to fight just yet. On the other hand of things, Falcons have taken a long time to extricate themselves out from Sami, which we know is not a good thing whatsoever. It's going to be a bit of a tough scenario to get over towards that north side.
Yeah, getting on up. Never easy. And this is a really tense standoff between these 2 teams, Blank. They are not happy about the living situation right now, but they will begrudgingly share it and do pretty well for it. Sara, why not? Give the guy a level 3 everything and make his life even easier. This guy has been tearing through the lobby for S2G. A bit of a terror. I mean, he survived fairly deep into one of our matches as well, I think. I think it was the first Miramar that Sarah was just surviving for so long on his own.
It's the game that Fireflux won, but he played it very nicely in terms of positioning as well, where he was under the purview of Fireflux, where they didn't really want to fight him, and no one really could challenge Sarah because he was under the protection, let's say, of Fireflux. So it was very well organized and orchestrated for them. S2G currently playing over towards Paris Resort, and they don't really have to move from there all that much. We'll wait and see on their positioning later on in the game. But I think I'm most curious about BWNRX, who have been holding down towards the south side on the circle. We're going to get this one closing up very shortly, and we will be looking at our stage 3, seeing where that one ends up on the map, because there is quite a few places this could go. I mean, southwest down towards Boot Camp, potentially even over towards Tap Mock, but it's neither. Instead, far off towards that eastern side, and with a lot of those ragtag compounds, as well as the junction where currently Foot is playing.
As you can see, there are a couple of buildings still on that junction compound near to Foot. Fireflux and Bra definitely overpopulating their junction compound in the meantime. But teams are going to start to think about crashing. Those hillsides around them are going to get really tense, and this is one of the areas where it's going to get super tense. Heating up on the southeast corner of the Paradise Resort. The Boars are crashing in. They roll around the top. Who does that? It's the Boars' signature chaos style that tears straight through Regnum Kaya like a hot knife through butter.
They're happy for it as well. They're absolutely happy to do it. They are willing to give a life for that trade. Get 3 eliminations off the back of it. They're able to pick themselves up a spot around Paradise Resort. Ridiculous stuff, really. Again, for Regnum Kaya, these are completely uninformed rotations and pushes coming through from Boars. I don't blame them for taking that position. I don't blame them all that much for losing that fight either, because it's not something that you ever really expect to happen in these types of games, especially in the finals. These plays are somewhat unheard of. So Boars are going to be causing a lot of mischief in these circles going forward. Foot, in my opinion, do have a strong place to play. They go over towards the junction. That's going to keep them safe for a long, long time.
Yeah, they've got control on that junction fairly convincingly for the time being. I mean, I'm still hung up on that fight. I mean, the Boars, they roll up, they crash into the cliff, and then during the fight, 2 of them are like, let's get back in the vehicle and roll over the high ground where S2G can completely see us and just sweep through behind Regnum. Like, that is... I mean, that is incredibly insane, what they were just able to pull off. And I'm surprised that they only lost 1 of their players in that situation. That's the final player from Kara, getting spotted, getting taken down. The Boars aren't done either, Blank. They found Kelsey. Now Icy wants a little bit of revenge.
This is dangerous now, though, for a lot of our teams, because our front runners at 5th and 6th place are now out. However, all 4 of our top 4 teams are still playing and still kicking it over here in the circle, so they can increase that lead by quite a bit. Boars at 64 points is very, very fun to see for me. I do wonder if there will be a slip up in performance from them, or they're just going to brute force it through to the finals, which is funny to bring up brute force, because way back when, brute force was certainly a team that did this exact same kind of play in the finals. It's very hard to deal with them because they were so frustratingly aggressive a lot of times. S2G now in a bit of a precarious scenario. There are going to be multiple teams who do want to cross over on the rocky outcrops through Paradise Resort. It's play around. Teams don't want to have to rotate through that open ground towards the south side of Paradise Resort, so they're likely going to get themselves embroiled in a big engagement. I would not be surprised to see Black Esports heading over towards that north side too, which means TTQ, Black Esports, and S2G will all be fighting out for a place within the resort itself.
Falcons go for a decent send in blank, and they've managed to keep all 4 alive, but only just. You can see slivers of HP. They are very central, but quite spread on this next circle. So we'll see if they're able to maintain control. The fight between Bra and Fireflux has been bubbling under for quite a while, but I think it's about to maybe boil over. As shots start to pop off, that's Fenerbahce as well, third-partying this, looking to descend from that south side, and it will crash into the Fireflux side of the hold.
Barsai also taking a lot of damage. They had to pass through BWNRX in the first place, so it makes sense. But good stuff from Black Esports, able to find Nico right off the rip here. Limited on time. 4 elims so far for them, and 4 players alive. They do need to accelerate a little bit, and S2G is here to play. Kairos goes down, as does Striker. This is looking very clean from Black Esports so far.
This feels like the Sandhawk we should have seen yesterday. If the circles hadn't done what they did, it could have been just as such. But for now, we'll have to see what teams are going to be able to earn. 7 elims on this match for Black Esports. They were able to do so much work against Kara, but now they've lost Lord Cedric. It's going to get a little bit harder. Playing as 3 without a position inside the circle here, it's going to be tough. They're going to rotate down south towards BWNRX, towards Barsai, and leave this fight potentially next on the cards. The nades from Fenerbahce still putting pressure onto Fireflux and Bra, all just happy to weather this storm as long as possible. From 16th place, they need every little bit of help they can get.
Yeah, they need to squeeze here. Falcons, ridiculously impressive push, by the way. I don't know how they've made it towards this position. They were out in the blue for such a long time. Getting to where they are at the moment is just unbelievable. They spent so much time down towards Sami, but they made that time count. There's been a lot of resources invested. Fenerbahce will move in and Fireflux gets eliminated. So one of our top 4 teams finally hits ground. I'll have to take a knee on this game.
On 3 players down right now for Bra. Fenerbahce have to slow because they've lost 2 at the moment. They're looking for those reses, and they should be seeing those reses come through across the road. If they'd have just gone one step further, they might have been able to close that fight down fully, conclude that engagement, because the circle comes in and it cuts them out. S2G having to wade into this fight now. They will be pushed out.
They will. Again, for S2G, it's a little bit dangerous because not only will have to now deal with balls, but it's a full 4-man squad that really didn't take too much damage off the back of TTQ. They have lost 1 player, but this is time for S2G to shine. But it's BWNRX and Zedwolf to find the first pick off, and he just exposes himself for way too long. Easy headshot for S2G.
Now nades over towards Lux as well. They know he's on this corner, and without that angle from Zedwolf, he could just hop up and go for this. Bold reading the line from BWNRX. They're not pushing out back to get him. They're too preoccupied getting into this next zone. That feels like a little bit of a read coming through from S2G, and I like it. They do profit from it, and they're going to do well. Oh, Bra didn't manage to keep those reses up for too long there as Fenerbahce now bearing down upon them. Crazy swept aside, but it's his teammates who put the final nail in the coffin for Bra. They are eliminated with 4 elims, but they will go out in 9th.
Fenerbahce profit off that ridiculously, though. 8 eliminations off of rocking up to a house and making it a very hot building inside. Fenerbahce now looking to push a little bit further. 36 points. This is a team that we wanted to do quite well over the league and knockouts, and we've been following them closely. They have gotten better from league to knockouts and now to finals. And this is where they can start to really make that run for the top spots. Falcons are feared to challenge them as they did take some pot shots back immediately, but they have a very central spot to play around. Let's see what they can do with it.
I think right now there's no team that can full force mount an assault into their position, which is what's holding their split successfully. Once these fights start to conclude, I think that's where weaknesses will show. But the question is, what can they extract from teams during that time? You spot an S2G player, you take them down. You spot a player from Fenerbahce or from Foot, it's going to get a lot harder for them. Papara Supermassive caving under the pressure of K1 as they continue to wrap on that eastern side, pushing up towards that compound that Foot have been holding for a long while now.
I mean, it's a ridiculous split that Falcons is playing, but it works because of that very reason, is that right now, I don't think there's any compounds still in the circle other than these buildings that currently Falcons hold. And they could effectively, with that open ground, play off the back of one another Redux going down, though, is very, very bad, but not unresable. Narvalo was close by to him earlier.
Uh-oh.
And now he's down.
Narvalo's no longer close by, and that is a full run out for BWNRX and 2 players from the Falcons going down. It finally was just a team had a position to actually go for that run, but immediately, as soon as those shots ring out, Fenerbahce take them down. Where were they when Redux and Narvalo needed them most? Goodness me. Well, the Falcons powerhouse in the middle of the circle, that's gone. Who are we looking at now? We're taking a look at S2G with the northern side circle shift, potentially actually having great oversight onto all of this.
I mean, technically, Ralph as well as Koa can still play off one another, but that is a dangerous run out coming through from Ralph. We'll see if he survives it. Heading through the smokes here.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear me. Fantastic nade, though. Placed him from very, very far away. Falcons are still profiting.
That was himself.
Oh,
He dated himself.
Okay, it's not a fantastic grenade from anyone. A very, very bad nade, it seems.
I could smell you sort of piecing together. Where did that nade come from? Who threw that? That must have been from ages away. What's going on? Turns out it came from his own pocket. Because, I mean, that's the last thing you expect.
If anyone gets that nade, it's like it's an unreal long shot on that bad boy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that by Koa doing that, they might have just given up on a 3rd place, which is very, very sad.
Yeah, like, I don't understand how you could be doing that at this level. It's just not an acceptable misplay. Ralph now trying to puff out and be as big as he can, bold as brass in the face of 4 players, well, 2 players from S2G, actually, to be fair, on this angle. A nice step out there to evade the nade and does some damage to Icy. Kelsey and Icy both falling back here. That might give Ralph the time to run across to Koa.
Maybe. We'll wait and see. For S2G, they do have bigger fish to fry in the circle. Ralph is able to get over the top side. Stun grenade thrown will keep him disorientated. Now they know they need to clean these players out. With them holding the southern edge of the circle, yeah, very, very tough scenario now. They are committing to the res, though. Now, where is the rest of the players? I think they currently have a safe-ish location for the Falcons to go for these res, and they do get it through. So there's now 2 players for the Falcons on side. And hopefully K1 goes down, then Falcons can get themselves a ladder. But like you say, it really is not an acceptable misplay coming through from Koa.
Kelsey
pretending not to exist.
Yeah, he's in the naughty corner right now. He deserves to suffer the consequences. But boards are still in the play, and they will lighten up from the sidelines. That is a 3rd place guaranteed. In the meantime, it's going to get harder and harder. But Ralph and Koa start to resurge. He's given it as good as he gave to himself. Goodness me, he's tearing through them. But finally spotted from the distance. Sara now with the auto shotty, pushing up close. The boars are still alive with one of their players on the far side. More healing to be done, and S2G look for the reses as Havlik falls as well on the sidelines.
That is a very, very good play there from Hamzy. I mean, he knows he has to flush those players out and can't allow them to have too much free reign. Now it's all up to Ralph, and it's 1v2. IT's quite low, but can he make it happen? No, it's not meant to be. An S2G clinching out. What would happen if Cole was alive for a little bit longer there, John, and he'd not eaten his own nade because he was just a bit hungry?
I mean, they get 2nd place either way, but it's S2G who rouse the crowd. They can't hear him. They've got to go louder. Sara basking in the victory there. To be fair, not spectacular from them, right? It got a little bit hairy towards the end. They played Paradise Resort well. They didn't have to go very far on this match, but they did earn that chicken dinner. They fought through it, and they played that one nicely towards the end. Assisted by Koa, of course, and his own hubris, I'll say, to explode himself. Say, you know what? I actually don't need my health bar. I'll take you on anyway. 2v4.
It very much felt like an incident of Koa just deciding that he wanted to retire from that match early, and Ralph was saying, no, you are going to play out the rest of this game, whether you like it or not. And they didn't do too badly, honestly. Keeping themselves alive long enough to get themselves that 2nd place was absolutely ginormous. You look at Ralph as well, I think he had a pretty phenomenal performance there to stay alive. Really, really risky play to go for, to actually run out towards the side of the rock into full broadside of S2G, but that's the only play. But it's also such an unexpected play for S2G. It's like he has just fully left cover and then ducks back in. So yeah, that was a critical moment for me where I thought, you know what, that is lovely from Ralph overall. But yeah, that does keep Falcons in a strong position towards the top side of the lobby after that game. Same with Boars, getting themselves, I think, a third place on that game.
Yeah, it was Boars, Falcons, S2G. 3 of our top 4 went deep into that game, right? Which is, again, pretty ominous, a pretty foreboding sign for our teams looking to try and jump on up there. I think in those final moments, the fact that Ralph was like, I can't actually take this fight, may have actually got them that second place, right? So, look, I'm not trying to say what Koa did was good by any stretch of the imagination, but it did make Ralph play more passively. Whereas if Koa had been up there, they might have been like, this is only 2 players. We might be able to take this fight. They go in, they go down in fourth. But because Koa's down, Ralph is like, I'm just going to play this like I'm playing the West Point of a 4-man and just hold them out. And that may have sort of confused S2G into allowing them into second place.
Yeah, it just could be a massive brain play from Ko where Ralph's saying, we should push them. And in his head, he's like, no, we shouldn't push them. But he's not going to agree with me. So I'll just knock myself and then we'll do that. And then that'll work, right? Surely. Like you say, in this world, in this instance, it does definitely give them a bit of an advantage in terms of play style from Ralph. Overall, though, I think for Falcons, I still think they should be very pleased with that match. Not pleased with the self-nade, but pleased with the rotate, pleased with the macro. To get all the way from down in Sami, because I think it was stage 3, we didn't even see them inside the circle. We didn't even see them inside the blue. We were so zoomed into the map there. And then out of nowhere, they're finding those 2 spots. Again, for Narvalo as well as Redox on the side, it's not good. I do think that they need to have a little bit more of a step up. There's an instance there where you're playing that 2-2 split. You're expected to trade off one another. But when you are just falling down flat on your face, you are just flopping, essentially. You don't want that.
Let's take a look at those final moments where it, to be fair, could have gone either way. Getting this res off was pretty important. The ball's going down, I think, over on the far side. Was it a blue zone elim? It looks like it.
Yeah,
but S2G getting that res off, I think, was pretty important. Sarah moved forwards. Ralph tried to challenge. Yeah, this strafe spray with the AUG, enough to close it down. I thought maybe there was an option, but MVP goes to K1. Okay, easy for Bad Boy, still putting up numbers.
The guy's crazy. I think that, if anything, whatever happens to K1, Easy for Bad Boy has proved himself as one of the rising stars in this lobby. To be quite frank with you, I just think it's an undeniable fact from this event that Easy for Bad Boy has been consistently pumping out damage, consistently pumping out numbers from K1, and no matter how good S2G looks, this is a name that definitely will be remembered after the event. So I am believing that it should be an S2G win by the end of this. We'll have to wait and see because of Smash ruling, but still, for S2G, this is just feeling undeniable at this point.
I'm going to have to go back and look, but I feel like we've never seen a match stat card without the MVP featured.
Yeah.
That is
weird,
peculiar. But, I mean, obviously a lot of teams are fragging out. Ralph doing a lot of damage there, a lot of nades over to S2G, and Icy, obviously, a huge component of the win. Although, looking at those knockout to elims, what's going on there?
I mean, to be honest with you, look at Icy, 5 elims, 608 damage, and more survival time than Easy for Bad Boy. So how are we working out those MVP
the knockouts
metrics?
I think are probably going to be coming into play here, right? It must be, because Ice is only on 1 knockout.
Yeah, maybe.
So I would say that that's been thrown in there. Unless did K1 have an MVP at the end of yesterday? No, they wouldn't have done. They were 12th. Okay, so it's not just a misfire on the graphics. He just did that well, right? Like, fair enough.
I guess so. Yeah, the knockouts really weighting quite heavily towards their favors, which is great for K1. Great for K1. Yeah, I do feel like I see Easy Bad Boy up there on the MVP stats quite often at this point in time. But yeah, it's been a good first match for us to look at. It's also a good metric for the Falcons coming off the back of that Sandhawk in terms of having some struggle. Yeah, anyway, we're going to head back to the stage. And we're still talking.
Okay.
Anlamışsındır soruyu da ben yine bir Türkçe çevireyim.
Doğru mu?
S2G'yi bu kadar dominant kılan şey nedir diye bir soru geldi Adam'dan.
Because they are not human. I think they are like alien, you know? They are not human. So we are like the fam, not to any team. So there is fam too, like that.
Awesome. Yeah. So you guys, inspiring. Barış,
Şey dedim, yani bizimkiler insan değil, uzaylı olduğunu düşünüyorum. Biz bir takım değiliz ve bir aileyiz. Taraftarlar da öyle, o yüzden böyle domine ediyoruz dedim.
I love it, indeed. We haven't got you for long. We've got our Wheel of Wonder here to give a prize to one person out in our audience.
Just one?
I think. Can you do three for us?
Okay, three.
Three?
Yeah.
Three, great.
Okay.
But we need the loudest person in the room. So we need people to scream and you to choose who's going to get a prize
I can
first.
choose.
Yeah, so we're
Just I'm gonna say them too loud,
Yeah.
you're gonna choose.
You choose? The
No.
first, you want me to choose?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll choose.
Şimdi şöyle yapacağız. Barışçı 3 kişiyi seçecek. 3 kişiyi seçmeyecek.
En fazla
3
bağıran.
kişiye ödül verecek. En çok gürültü çıkarana verecek.
Let's hear. I go. This way. Shall I go this?
İnsan değilsiniz
You
oğlum,
choose. Go.
insan
You
değilsiniz.
go. This guy here.
Evet,
Onlar
elinde
seçiyor.
su olan kardeşimizi seçelim.
Okay. So this guy. This is our winner right here.
Evet, ilk talihli kardeşimiz o. Yes.
Okay.
Fist bump, dude. Okay.
Ödülü geliyor şimdi Barışçı.
Which one is the best one? At the which one?
Spin the wheel.
T-shirt, maybe.
Ne istiyorsun? Şşt, aslan, ne istiyorsun lan? Tişört mü?
Şapka var, mousepad var, atkı var, çanta var, oyun içi kostüm var.
I'll ask him. What would you like to
Kostümlerde
win the
de
most?
aslan saldırısı paketi var.
Deniyoruz şimdi şans.
Olur mu?
Bekle.
Let's see.
Aa!
You win.
Are you happy?
You win. Okay.
All good.
Tamam.
He loves it. He loves it. Right, we need two more.
You pick Adam, you pick.
I'm being drawn. Who wants to win a prize? Let's have a look here. Who am I being drawn to? This. I'm going to go in this direction here. Make it fair. Let me hear you make some noise. Come on. Let me hear. Who's screaming?
Ben size ayrı
In
veririm,
the
rahat ol.
green t-shirt. I'm coming here. In the green t-shirt. This guy just here. What's your name?
Muhammed.
What prize would you like to win the most?
Mousepad.
He'd love a mouse pad. When you're ready, he'd love a mouse pad. Spin the wheel, see what
Okay,
happens.
let me check.
Mousepad
Mohammed's after a
aslında
mousepad.
gelirse iyi olurmuş kardeşimize. Bakalım
Well, the magic
mousepad mi
of the
gelecek?
PMSL.
Oh, mousepad.
Mousepad kazandı.
Mouse
İyi
pad,
geldi
mouse
mousepad.
pad. My God, are you happy, Mohammed?
Oğlum, bak. Alo.
He's happy. He's got himself a mouse pad. Amazing.
Bir şey diyeceğim.
Barış,
Bir şey diyeceğim.
One more.
Bak, bu yayını globalde izliyor. Böyle görmemişiz gibi yapmamamız lazım. Yapmayın oğlum, rezil ediyorsunuz la bizi. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last one.
Last one. Last one.
Sonuncuyu seçiyoruz şimdi.
Right.
Go.
Oradan var mı birileri?
Good so far. I know. Everyone deserves a prize.
Go voice.
O başında bant olan arkadaşım. Kardeşim. Tamam, üçüncü arkadaşımız da orada. Hemen sorayım.
Nasılsın?
Gönlünden geçen bir
Gel,
hediye var mı?
sonuncuyu sen yap.
Let's
Gel.
find out
Gönlünden
his name,
geçen bir
Billy.
hediye var mı? Ne
Kam
istersin?
Gel.
İstersin bir hediye var mı istediğin?
Gel.
Mousepad olur.
He also wants a mousepad.
Sen çeviriyorsun. Ben mousepad'de tutacağım. Yaklaşabileceğim mi? Yardım edeyim mi? Okey. Hadi.
Aman düşme, dikkat et.
You spinning the wheel for us? Here we go.
Go.
Let's go. Where's it gonna land? A mouse pad! Let's go!
Mousepad sana gitti.
The mousepad.
Thank you very much. That's awesome.
Teşekkür ederiz çevirdiğin için.
Ben herkese teşekkür etmek istiyorum bu arada. Thanks for everyone for supporting. Söylemeyeyim ya. Ayıp bir şey söyleyecektim. Unuttum. Kendi canlı yayınım zannettim.
Yapma. Yapma.
Sen değil, sen bitir.
Barışçı'ya tekrar teşekkür ediyoruz. S2G'ye de başarılar diliyoruz. Hediyelerimiz devam edecek.
Thank you so much.
O yüzden tekrar
You're
maç
welcome. Thanks so much,
arasında
buddy.
bir yere ayrılmayın diye
Thank you so
hatırlatalım.
much. Thank you.
Thank you Barışçı.
Teşekkürler.
And
Good luck for
thank
the
you so
tournament.
much. Thank you so much to Balashji. And thank you guys so much. That was fun. More prizes later, I guess.
Yeah,
There we go. They're just throwing out mouse pads. Everybody wants a mouse pad. What's going on? You know, no love
I know.
for no love for any other option.
I don't know. No one wants the Turkish delights. Disgraceful, really. I think that I would quite like the sweeties, personally.
Yeah.
Don't mess with a man's bonbons, is what I always like to say.
You do say that a lot, actually. I hadn't noticed until you've mentioned it, but yeah, no, you do. You're always going on about it. But yeah, we've been dishing out the goodies there. So if you're live in the venue, if you're live in the venue, what are you doing watching this? You've got the big screens to be getting on with. But yeah, if you're live in the venue, you're getting those goodies. Hopefully, our teams will be getting plenty of goodies as well. They are looking for that top spot. They've already been allowed to use the Infinix GT30 Pro though, so that's pretty much as good as it gets.
I think also the fact that they've earned some money as well, John, potentially. You know, there's some goodies.
Infinix GT30 Pro is better.
There's some goodies in the monies that they're picking up as they go along from league stage, knockout stage, and then guaranteed here over the finals, no matter where you place. So I think I'm quite excited to see this next match of ball. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from that last game, because there were quite a few to take a look at. Some good mollies throughout this entire game as well. Some fun ones. I particularly enjoyed the 4-man molly over from Fenerbahce right here. Thank you so much. Easily done. And just one BBS required in terms of the shots ahead. I think when we look at BW NRX, though, extremely disappointing. I'm sort of counting them out. I don't know what's happened to that team. I really don't know what's happened. So are we staying together for the kids? Is that what's going on with that team, or do we need to disband? Yeah.
I mean, kind of fair. 7 elims though they were able to find during that match. I mean, they positioned themselves they were positioned in a place to get involved in a lot of fighting. The final event that they were involved in was 4-man pushing onto the 2-man point of Falcons, and then afterwards immediately evaporating as everyone around them took shots out their way. 20 points for S2G. The Falcons only able to get 10 on that match despite getting second place.
I think it's okay. Just in terms of point scoring. Again, when I talk about BWNRX, I don't really want them to disband. I would like them to do a lot better. I think as a team in general, each individual player very strong. And in the past, that team was indomitable, like very, very good. Really running a lot of these lobbies. You come here, and the only other answer and conclusion I can come to is that previous seasons that they've played in, the teams just haven't been that good, and that this is just a really stacked lobby, and BWNRX are significantly struggling within it. There are teams that have done worse than them. However, it's also a team that I would put up there on the caliber of S2G, Falcons, Fireflux, Fenerbahce, Regnum Kaya. It's not a team that I would expect to be on the second page. I'd expect them to be at least on this first after day 1. So we'll see how things pan out here on day 2. But you can see up towards first place, 82 points. 5th place is 47. Now that is quite a drop there, John.
Yeah, that is a massive cliff face. It is looking pretty unscalable right now, and the drop off from 4th to 5th as well is pretty big at this point. You know, it's what was it, like 11 points, 12 points, something like that. It's not looking good for teams trying to chase into the top 4 after that first match. Obviously, we saw a lot of teams in those top 4 doing well. It was Fireflux, I think, who the team that went down without really doing anything, and they're still pretty far ahead of anyone else trying to chase them, right? I think it was K1 who were sat behind them, who did do pretty well on that game, as did Fenerbahce. Both have escaped the dusty second page and will not be featuring here for the time being, unlike BWNRX, who are still there. They're in 10th place, and of course, Bra down all the way at the bottom.
Yeah, for Bra, I don't think they're moving too much. I think that if I've got to be honest, I think their run's done at this point in time. There is still hope for other teams, I would say, from TTQ, Foot, Those are teams that I'm expecting to do a little bit better. Black Esports, I just don't think are up to the caliber. And I think Black Esports are earning most of their points through placements right now, and they need more than that. Here's a head-to-head between Havlik as well as Scarface, that's Fireflux, as well as Boars. You can see Havlik with 2,700 damage done, an absolute demon in the lobby at the moment for Boars, and certainly a force to be reckoned with. A lot of teams just don't want to come into contact with him because he does ruin days here on our finals. So for Boars, really, really fantastic turnaround for them. It is a little bit of a rebuild, is that team. So it does make sense. You've played 6 days. Those 6 days were pretty all over the place. You get towards the finals, you've had some practice, you've had some downtime to figure out what your wrongs were and how to right them. And now Boars are playing at a whole new level. 3,500 damage done for Easy Bad Boy. Very well done to him. And Kelsey up there with 3,300.
It's kind of crazy that he's been able to take that top spot when you're looking at it's S2G, it's Falcons, it's Boars. These are like top teams, huge fraggers. And then it's just easy for Bad Boy sat at the top of the entirety of the pack. It's pretty crazy. He's a bit of a young blood fragger coming on in, giving the old dogs a run for their money.
Really is, and it's awesome to see it happen. I'm always a big fan of watching things like that come through. So what we'll have to wait and see is how this all pans out going forward for K1. Can they push over that line? We'll wait and see. I think the thing that I'm most interested in here is S2G and how far they can get ahead today. Because going into day 3, if they can get far enough ahead, it's going to be very hard to actually even try and challenge them on those tables when it comes to getting a chicken dinner and winning via smash ruling, because first you've got to catch up, and can teams do that before S2G is able to get a chicken dinner, because they are consistently picking them up now.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting factor, right? When it comes to going in towards tomorrow, if S2G open a massive lead, then it's sort of only them that could win via smash ruling. But if we sit in a position where we did at the end of today, so if S2G get caught up towards, which, for the teams in the top 4 seems fairly possible, depending on what S2G are able to do as well. But there was less than a 10-point difference between them and 4th place, right? So it could, if we have that sort of situation going into tomorrow, I would be really interested to see if we get a smash rule victory coming on in, because the more teams are close to that boundary, the more likely that it happens.
Absolutely. The only way that some of these teams towards the top are doing so well is with the help of the GT30 Pro. Infinix, who is our current smartphone sponsor for this event and majority of our other events as well. So a big thank you to them, allowing us to outplay the rest inside of these lobbies and giving us some of the greatest action we've seen in PMSL EU for a very, very long time. So make sure you do check out Infinix, because they do have some of the best smartphones around.
That's a lot of R's in that hashtag, and at the end of that, there was like carry, there was like 5 R's. I can't remember. You have to scroll back in the VOD. But either way, that's what they want. You got to give it to them. It's the Infinix GT30 Pro. Marvelous piece of kit. But yeah, we are going to be looking now at Erangel as we move into our next match. And of course, the Hot Drop Falcons have done well out of it so far. Papara Supermassive, a massive downturn. Start today, not gone well for them. So it's not like they are going into this one with momentum. They're going to be having a bad time here as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Falcons are going to be able to win it out as convincingly as they have done previously. However, we also have seen the capability for both of these teams to escape from Pachinki without coming into conflict. So I'm expecting maybe Papara Supermassive to give a little bit more ground to Falcons here.
Yeah, we talked about beforehand in terms of how it went yesterday with Papara Supermassive getting handled so easily and multiple times as well versus the Falcons, that I think in the finals, when that happens to you on day 1, it's no longer a case of knockout stages that we just need to get to the top 16 or league stage, just need to get to the top 20. This is a case if you want to get up towards the top side of the leaderboard, now is the time to make an adjustment, right? You can't just keep fighting over this and basically scrubbing your scoreline each time because it's fine. It's not the finals yet. Right, it's already here. It is here right now. You lose multiple times yesterday. It's time to leave. It's time to not try and go for those fights. And I think there are multiple places on the map where Papara Supermassive could end up, but they're just not picking up those spots here. And it's very stubborn behavior. and I think it has hurt them massively in the long run here in this tournament. I'm curious to see what they'll do here. I think we'll have to wait and see though, because in my mind, with how it's been going, I don't think things change. I think I ask for a change every single time, and it's just been they're hot dropping again. And I don't think there's going to be any difference there. It does put a little bit of extra stress over towards Falcons, who currently have a lot more to lose right now in terms of that EWC slot that they're currently teed up to get, rather than Papara Supermassive, who are just trying to prove a point, it seems.
That's just, yeah, I guess they just really kind of like the houses. It's nice to, nice investment area. They're projecting property growth. I don't know. They're just really into it at this point. But I will say, like, this is the same thing we were saying about the Falcons during the knockout stages, right? Right? Is it time for the Falcons to leave? The Falcons should probably leave. Oh, well. So, I think that they're both as bad as each other in this instance. Maybe with the Falcons having slightly more of an excuse, but it's sort of, six of one, half a dozen of the other. It feels sort of a comparable situation for both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. There are things that both teams could improve on still, but this is one of them that we'll just have to wait and take a look at when it comes through. We are just waiting for Arangel to start, which I believe is getting set up there in the background whilst the players are moseying around. But we are going to head into it right now. Look at that.
He was on the money. He knew exactly what was going on, because we are heading into Erangel for match 2, day 2 here at the PMSL Europe, and the plane path looks to be going fairly south on this one. We're coming in from the west coast near Gatka over towards Sosnovka on the southeast side. Over towards Novo at the other end of Sosnovka on the southeast side. As teams are going to start to drop out. Difficult to get to areas like Yasnaya, maybe Severny a little bit far afield for some of these teams.Maybe some vehicle drops around Gatka could be contested. We saw what Zedwolf was nearly able to do yesterday against K1 with an out but a knife and a little bit of a scrap over in the garages.
Yeah, BW and RX do like to take a little bit of a split drop, and you usually do want to go for a split drop, especially if you're dropping around Ferry Pier, as it is quite a dip down towards the beachhead, that you don't want to be losing a lot of that important information over towards that north side. I don't particularly think the Zedwolf should be that scout, though. I think, honestly, that role should be in Frozen's hands, and it looks like that's the case here, with Zedwolf being able to loot comfortably over towards Yellows. I think losing Zedwolf is really creates this performance which is not good for BWNRX, because he's sort of required in a lot of these fights to clinch it out.
Wait, hang on a minute. This is Papara Supermassive, but not Bra.
Yeah, so it
but
has happened.
Oh my goodness. But they're still in a hot drop.
Yeah, they are. I mean, sort of created because of the fact that the plane path was so far down towards the south, so not ideal. But if there's anyone you're going to hot drop, fair play it being Brown. Now that seems like a team that I would be much more comfortable with Papara Supermassive hot dropping over towards, and Falcons finally get what we like to call peace and quiet over towards Pachinki.
Finally, the adjustment comes on through. You're right, and they're wondering what the hell has just happened. Where are they? We know they're here somewhere. I've got to imagine they are pretty cautious, and you can see this is a lot of vehicles being used very early on, and this is what happens when you get these southwest plane paths. He does roll, goodness me. Inserted itself into my sentence before I could even think. But everyone's going to have to get on the road, get these vehicles, and try and get far afield as fast as possible to get to these loot locations, especially with the circle being out on the east side of the island. Teams are going to have a lot more motivation to get out to the east early.
A circle being over, it's quite cruel. It is quite cruel. Teams that they drop late on the circle are going to have a good time. Boars are bullying Regnum Kaya. They bullied them last game. They're bullying them again now. Another player being lost and another point added to the tally. They're at 71 now for Boars. If I am being honest, it's not the team I personally would have liked to see go over towards EWC. I think they will have deserved it off the back of this run, but genuinely, I don't think their playstyle works at an international level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the question is, what are your goals, right? Like, are you trying to lock in and just get to that world stage, or are you trying to do well on that world stage, right? Like, you can play a regional play style that works well in your regional meta, and be satisfied with that. And I think fair enough, right? It's not unreasonable to be satisfied with that. Even
I think
if you
they would
can't
be.
go as far as potentially a team that plays on a more global scale, like your S2G kind of play style, right? With that experience they got on board, you may be expecting not to get too far there, but you're happy to be a champion of the region, and I mean, fair enough.
Exactly. I think if I would predict them not to do great at EWC if they make it, which is looking more and more likely as time goes on.
Okay.
But this is kind of a newly formed roster. There's a lot of well-known names on that roster, at least. But, like you say, just getting an EWC slot in the first place, that's kind of a big achievement. And if it's working right now, why change it? It might be something I'll have to look at as we get through to the 25th of July. But right now, it is working very well. I think there's a lot of cautious play inside this lobby, and Boars is bringing a little bit more of that old school EU action to the table, which I personally do really enjoy it. I'm between worlds on it, really. That's the issue.
I think there is also the potential that it will just do really well at the global stage as well. Like, maybe you wouldn't expect it to, but it's like playing chess against a pigeon, right? Like, you can play all these great moves, but in the end, they're just going to strut all over the board and pretend like they won anyway. And how do you play against that?
Well, if I was to go a step further, I'll tell you exactly how you play against it. Is that Boars makes a crazy play. It works against one team. One team will be very unhappy about that, but there will be instantaneous response from other squads inside the lobby. Because at an international level, a lot of teams realize that every single point counts. So if you're going to go for a crazy play, you better be prepared for a team third party.
Yeah, that is true. Right, that is the main kryptonite of this crazy play style is third parties. If you roll into too many of them, so maybe
but it's
we'll see that
working.
adjustment here.
It's working right now, and you can see that it's working purely because Havlik, Pusher, Pulika, all incredible fraggers. Cause is a really nice addition as well, to be honest with you. But they're incredible fraggers across the board. I wouldn't dare to say otherwise. I think that would be disingenuous of me. Because there is no third parties, because teams are so preoccupied with their positioning of where they're going to go, Boars have this very easy scenario where I don't think there's anyone in this lobby other than maybe S2G that they're worried about fighting, which gives them massive free reign. Just be like, okay, you have a position there, we're just going to drive by, and that'll be an easy approach for us. We'll win that fight 9 times out of 10, get a new strong position. So basically for Boars inside this lobby, the big positive for them is there are no walls in front of them that they can't break through.
There's a potential to earn a lot of money, I think, if you're a construction company, because the Boars do like to smash through walls if they can. Need a lot of rebuilding. Try and get the contracts for that one. But for now, they're in second place. They're in the blue zone, trying to get on in. Have to figure out where they want to go on through. Where have they been coming from? Where are they coming from on this circle that they're in the blue zone?
They're going from box compound, so it is a bit more of. I think what they're doing is a wide wrap over towards Saverny. But
okay.
we'll wait and see.
Yeah, Yeah, that next circle just about to pop in 2 seconds' time. No one losing more than a player at the moment. A hard south shift on this circle. This is pretty nasty. Pushes people to that coastline, to that area around Shelter, around Farm and Milter. You can see T2Q currently holding that roadblock. BWNRX should be in a good spot here. Carrot coming into conflict as well in the meantime for that hillside compound. It looks like they're doing okay, but they have lost Marceau.
Kara moving in. Easy Bad Boy is down, which is the big raid boss for K1. So taking him out early is fantastic. The scoreline, 5th place for K1 at the moment, by the way. Not bad at all. Lux will finish off Slonic, but Kara has lost Marceau. Poses down as well, so they're looking to get that res off. Boars are really hurting.
Having a bad time.
I don't know why they rotated all the way on the coast of Severny. I think you could have probably rotated like over Pizza Slice. I don't expect there to be many teams there. Again, this is what confuses my boss. Sometimes they just make these plays and I am perplexed by them.
I mean, they do get that res, and they do get the heals off. So they can go a little bit further, but they have a long, long way to go to make it on in. Stage 2, though, so fortunately they'll be okay for the time being. Fenerbahce have lost 2 players. It looks like K1 almost down. They are on their last leg as it stands. Barsai, they've lost 1 as well. And Kara. So a lot of casualties on this set of rotations. So far, it has extracted a toll on the lobby. 55 players remaining with 16 teams. That does sort of indicate a little bit of a closely fought rotation, especially in stage 2. I don't think I would expect this many players to have gone down without having a bit of a chaotic rotation. That early fast breakout, right, with the plane path being so heavily southwest, teams needing to get out to the east, a lot of teams came into conflict, a lot of teams knew those rotational paths, and in general were more compressed towards one another. And then followed by this hard south shift, where teams have again looked to move quickly into the same areas.
It's funny as well, because I think most teams were on the southern side of the map anyway. I don't think really anyone confirmed it over towards Yasnaya, Stalba, or Severny. So a lot of teams were easily able to pass through Shelter, pick up compounds down towards Milter, Farm, over on that northwest side, just to the east of Potato Hill. There's not been many casualties, honestly. We're still 16 teams alive, 55 players. So there has been some players that have gone down, but I wouldn't say that it was an absolute train wreck going down towards this south side of the map. I think most of all, teams are really happy with their position. And where are balls? That's my question.
I have a feeling that they went... Wait, are they still in Severny?
I don't think they're still in Severny. They did hang around there for a while, and I think that was to just get medical supplies. I mean they could wrap Milter Power like Barsai. But I think they need a bit more of a direct approach into the circle now.
I was thinking they could potentially wrap west here, right? And come in along the coast as well. I mean, it is a very peculiar situation for the Boars right now. They have got the meds on board. Thundertalk close to S2G, and at the moment, S2G a bit split. You can see Sarah is away from the rest of the roster. Thundertalk, they've been holding this position for a while as well, but seemingly the west side of it, not a concern, as they've allowed S2G to roll up, or have given ground to them, and allowed this fight to start to pop off. They are, yeah, they're not even going to contest this one. They're going to allow 3 players from S2G to sit in this building whilst they take shots at them.
Yeah, a lot of this right now is going to be just stalemates between squads. It's not ideal terrain for a lot of teams, right? It's rocky. It's not fun. It's not fun in this area at all. So most teams are just going to chill out, relax, pull out the pina coladas, and just hold steady, because there is no point in trying to gain ground here unless you're absolutely on the outside. until a big circle shift comes through. And then you can try and find a better scenario, a better position on the map to work with.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with we're seeing a circle of stalemates at this stage. With so many teams as well diminished in numbers, not too many teams are going to be going for these full crashes, right? And especially with the Boars doing God knows what. Oh, they're out of the blue. I think they come in from the north side, so we'll see where they end up there as well. So maybe the Boars could break some of these stalemates, but we're going to see teams like Barsai, right? They're on 3 players. Interesting decision actually to scout down here towards Milter. With the circle as it is, not really focusing at all on there. I'm surprised to see Merciless go out this way.
Barsai made a big old wrap over towards the eastern side. Boars are going to go for something a little bit more conventional, just come in from the north. If for Barsai, it hasn't been fun for them as well. They're on 19 points. I think they have been somewhat struggling. Areas on the map are no longer as open as they used to be, and I think Barsai got away with a lot just purely off central positioning, and that's not the case anymore. Most teams have realized that most teams are just playing a very central position. Circle moves over towards the west, towards Shelter. Very open around this area. You can see Kara as well as Fenerbahce, who are playing in this building alongside with the Wizard Tower that sits over towards their northeast. A very good position to play. And we'll keep both those teams safe for a while. The question is, how do they want to play that out? Do they want to take pot shots at each other? Do they want to send grenades? Or are they happy simply to hold that position whilst the other teams are going to struggle to make their way down?
It's a question of what is the way to maximize your points earnings, right? And it's pretty much impossible to make an objective call about the truth on that one. Falcons, though, they've spotted the Boars here, who, of course, remember, came in very, very late. Would have burnt through quite a few of their medical supplies to stay alive in the blue for as long as they did. Should have a backlog, though, because they spent a lot of that time looting, so they are looking to play this one late on in. The Falcons as well, having oversight. They can't stay there for too long, playing on this ridgeline. You can see that the Boars have angles over towards as well. They spotted those smokes, obviously. They'll know that the Falcons are there. Taking a couple of pot shots, Ralph and Koa did pretty well at the end of the last one and actually taking damage from across the way. Lord Cedric trying to open the path over towards Ida, and Lux is a lot closer to him. A lot of ammo in that Bison. We'll see him safe for a little bit longer. Lux, again, tears another shred out of Eren, who has to back up.
Yeah, Ida's going to struggle here. I think Ida certainly did better yesterday. It's been a bit of a lackluster start for them, but still 4 players alive. An elimination coming through for K1 for only the 1 point on Elims. So not a huge point scoring for them. Fireflux looking to get ahead, but Fireflux, as we know, was dominant on Miramar. So we'll wait to see what they can get done on that map later on today, because that could be where they are getting the majority of their points from.
I mean, they did get one of their chicken dinners on an Erangel at the end of the Erangel run from yesterday. But you're right, they definitely showed a little bit more on Miramar. And not a lot on Sandhawk at the start of the day, right? They were only the only team in the top 4 to not get over 10 or more points, right? SVG, Boars, Falcons all got more than 10. So they have been left a little bit behind. The Boars trying to leave their compound late into the circle, late to the party, and Ida not willing to welcome them in. Turn them away at the door. Slam that velvet rope down. Certainly onto one of their players. The rest of them, though, tenacious as ever. Leaving Havlik behind, you've still got a lot more to do if you want to get rid of the Boars.
Yeah, Havlik will drop, but you're right. They're going to push on forward. Versus Ida now, who pipped into the post yesterday on Miramar. Took their chicken dinner away from them. Lovely nade from Darkin once again. Really does feel like flashbacks. Deja vu.
He spotted Pusher as well. With Boars starting to drag their feet here. One is pulled out of the vehicle. Cause is doing a lot of damage here, and that's going to open up sightlines. They may have just thrown this one away a little bit. Rita somehow evading that. A slow roll on through as we hop over to Foot, who are punishing Regnum Kaya down into the shelter. They go, bowing their heads. More chaos is unfolding on the northern side, by the way. The Boars are still fighting, but it's only the one player now left standing. Oh, Falcons are here. Koa, he's rolled over the top, and finally the Boars go to bed.
Look dicey for the Falcons. You can see one player on a smidgen of life. Now IDA is fighting against a whole new team. They weren't fighting against the Boars, but that's a different type of beast. Get themselves into the mix. S2G taking a hell of a lot of damage, and they're out.
Ooh.
Just like that. TTQ able to bring their run to an end.
That's our two lobby leaders right now out of the mix. The Falcons looking to keep this one together, as well as Fireflux trying to stay alive, but they are out on that western side, pretty near the Falcons as well. Could be a potential backfill here, but Eren finds a spray onto Ralph. He's the forward player as well for the Falcons. Makes it a lot harder to go for these reses. Narvalo, a volley of fire over towards that high ground. But Redox has been spotted. Eren is doing so much for Ida right now, and he wants a little bit more. Moves around in the buggy, looking to get these bandages off. Doesn't have any medical supplies really to speak of, and gets an angle. He's going for that side swipe. He's getting bold with it. He knows that his supplies are running low, and in he goes for the roll down. And a wild swing out comes on through. Narvalo, that was his job to stop, and he just drops the ball.
There is still potential for Falcons to get back up into the ring here. No bell has been heard yet. And Narvalo's going to send some bullets over the top here. One nade remaining, but his teammates are bleeding out. Darkin gets knocked, leaving just one player there on Ida on very low HP. See if they can make this happen. Narvalo finding Eren alongside Redox. That's a cleanup. 5 limbs, and Falcons will live to tell the tale.
Maybe not for much longer, because this fight, if it concludes with the third party, we'll have to wait and see, though, because Regnum Kaya, they're trapped with their backs to the bonnets as the vehicles on the staircase not helping them out, but they are just dominating anyone who steps and peeks into this one. You'd think, just put a nade in there. They're all dead, but no, nobody thinks to do that. Instead, they're just going to have to fade away as teams start to fall around them. Regnum Kaya have been delivered so many points for this.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know why. They keep just setting themselves in. So Regnum Kaya getting themselves 4 elims. Nice spot on the side of the circle. Get up towards this northwest side and get another shift here going into stage 6.
Right now, there is a 20-point difference between 3rd place and 5th place. The Falcons on 69, which is, of course, nice to be on, but Fireflux on 59 and Regnum Kaya on 49, which is a massive step drop-off on these tables, right? And it shows you how far ahead our leaders are at this stage. We talked yesterday about what we're expecting in terms of averages per day if you want to be in the top 4. We were talking about that 50-point per day metric, right? So for today, if you end on 100 or more, it's looking pretty good for you to be able to get up into those spots to get a qualification towards the PMWC. S2G are pretty close to that already. After only 2 matches, they're on 86. But we're looking at Fireflux currently on 59 and Regnum Kaya trying to get as much done as they can here to jump up past that 50-point boundary that they should have earned on the first day. It's fair enough to say. But not everyone was given that opportunity.
I'm going to say one thing. Kara, definitely impressive, right? I think despite everything, you know, struggling here and there, getting themselves up towards 44 points now. I think there's a real possibility for this team in the future. Regnum Kaya, though, 49. Almost there. But they are almost there. So, see if they can make it on this game. They're a team that we were confident we were going to make it into the top 4.
I think that the 2 teams you maybe swap out for them in terms of what you would have expected coming into this tournament is Boars. I think they're a bit of a wild card here, and Fireflux, who have had that downturn in terms of performance at an international stage. Kara, I mean, you sang their praises, and I think I will echo you in that even as they go down. They have been one of the more impressive teams that maybe are outside of that upper echelon of teams to be considered coming into this tournament. And I think they can definitely hold their heads high. It's not all done yet, though. I mean, we're still got over a day and a half of games to play. And the rest of this one as well, as Papra Supermassive survived their hot drop earlier with Bra, managing to get 4 elims on the match, and doing pretty well. Probably pretty happy that they left Pachinki.
Yeah, it's much better. Again, it does feel like a clean bill of health for Papra Supermassive. Heading over towards that northwest side. It's super important for them. And now, this time, they get to face up against Falcons, but in a very, very different arena.
Oh dear. Navallo, nade over the top. That looks pretty decent. On target, no, not going to connect there. The 3 of them, guided by the ghost of Ralph, who is currently down. Not going to be getting that one back up. Another nade up on high, looks pretty good, but doesn't quite get the knock. Not quite close enough, and the heals are starting to come through. Papra Supermassive holding their own for now. Holding their corner, but finally Redox steps up, uses the weapons instead of the ordnance. But goes back to it. Pins are pulled left and right, draining all of the nades there for Redox. So they're investing a lot of utility here to get through Papra Supermassive. And with the circle as it is now, probably rightly so.
Hoa goes down, and it's the full force push coming through on that side. There is a refrag, a bit of a trade coming through, leaving now Papra Supermassive in a 1v1 between Redox as well as Tron, immediately going for the reses there. And Redox knows he needs to push. And soon.
But remember those nades, Blank. He used them all in that earlier set of engagement. Falcons, he's running down for those reses. Navallo immediately crawling back. Lost is looking for the heal. Papra Supermassive will be back up to full force. We're going to tune in now with Fireflux rolling down towards the south, towards the garage here, and onto the position held by the remaining players of Bra. They lost one early game, but since then, they have survived. Underarm with the nades, trying to burn out these locations, and looking good with the nades on the sidelines as well. Finding Gabri, BWNRX across the way, wanted to get involved. Another nade posted in, could change things as well. Bounce off the high window, not going to be able to connect the damage though.
In the meantime, Papra Supermassive were able to finish up versus the Falcons, leaving on 70 points this game. Ketch with Pompey decides against it. Those players outside does drop.
Oh dear, Fireflux. They're on their last player now. This roll down not been super successful, unfortunately. They will look for the reses and find the first, but they still have one more player down. They want to try their best to keep that one going, but unfortunately Papra Supermassive are going to start to take shots out this way.
Poser spotted by Tron. 9 eliminations. Crazy what a change of drop spot can do for you. BWNRX assaulting the building. Over towards Bra. Kine finding Matcap. Finishes him off. Help of Zed Wolf. Player on the stairs though.
Uh-oh. Around the side, Frozen being out already leaves them at 3 players for BW. Next, Ruya. And they have got Bra isolated upstairs. Papra Supermassive as well. I mean, they're looking pretty good on this northern side, Blank. They do lose a player, though, which is unfortunate. Concluding this fight for BWNRX would be massive, but they still have yet to get through it. I'm liking this position as we do hop over to them. I feel like it would only be vindication, mainly for you, I think, if Papra Supermassive end up winning this one out. They've adjusted their drop spot. They get a decent start to the game, and they can get off the mark here if they can find the fight against Regnum Kanya, who've been hiding in the bunkers for a while. Toshbek, though, turns his back, and that is unwise. Wild is the next to fall, and Loxy wondering why they just did that.
Very clean coming through from the boys on Papra Supermassive. With the 10 eliminations, and yeah, vindication, 100%. Is what I'm looking for here. I mean, even if they go down in second place, I'd be happy with it. But this also should have happened a lot sooner. Because Papra Supermassive is not a bad team. I don't think they're a 15th place team at all, and I think most players earlier on in the power rankings would agree with that. But it's just there's been the fervent behavior to stay in Pachinki. It just has not worked out, and that's Regnum Kaya biting the dust in 4th place, leaving BWNRX, Bra, as well as Papra Supermassive over on the high ground.
3 teams remaining. I mean, Papra Supermassive should have this completely unlocked at this stage, right? They have the center of the circle. They have all of this open ground covered off. BWNRX trapped in this building now with Bra trying to hide on the upstairs. The next zone closes dead center. I feel like at this point, Papra Supermassive would have to do a lot of work to lose this one, but maybe they'll find the nerves get to them. They think, we've gotten into this final circle in Pachinki. Sorry, not in Pachinki, rather, after dropping somewhere else. This is our chance to show it. And they've got the high ground. They've got the cover. They've got everything. And look at the run out here. There is nothing to play, no matter how this fight concludes. Bra looking to try and take the fight down the stairs, and they actually do pretty well. And they take them all the way down. Goodness me, Rolex and Quantum play it beautifully on the inside. Neither of them fall either.
There is some furious faces over there on BWNRX, and I do not blame them. Losing against the 16th place team, when they have the man advantage, you would be mad.
Absolutely. That is going to be galling, but Bra look at a fight out through the window, a sliver of HP left, and Quantum will be taken down by the blue, and it is vindication for the relocation of Papra Supermassive. No more Pachinki drops, a chicken dinner right off the bat.
It's huge for Papra Supermassive. It'll put them in a much better position. Very, very well done to them. And all it took was to hot drop the weakest team in the lobby, and not the Falcons, which is a bad idea. And I'm glad that it finally happened. And it had to happen based off what occurred yesterday. BWNRX, though, I think that was the main storyline for me. Incredibly angry with those players. I saw one smash the desk. And I mean, fair enough to him, honestly, because I think it was Zedwolf, just because it must be so frustrating, knowing that you're a strong team, but there's something wrong. There's something rotten within the team at the moment. They need to figure out what it is, take it out from the freezer, and get rid of it. Get rid of it.
Yeah, it's that is not good news. I'm interested to see where Papra Supermassive will drop next match, because I think obviously with the plane path as it was, it's not. I mean, it's not unlikely, right, that that was a backup drop potentially for their new drop spot, right? Because it was very isolated down to that southwest side on the plane path. Maybe they're looking to go to like Yasnai or Lipovka, something like that, on a more favorable plane path.
I think they are looking for South George, personally, because Bra's usually playing over towards North. So, and I don't think there's a lot of teams that play towards South George a lot. And so I think that the reason we had a hot drop there occurs because Bra, that's Bra's backup drop, right? Over towards South George instead of North George, because the plane path was so far down towards that south side. So I do think that it's one of the things where it's a bit awkward, but it still works out. Papra Supermassive. And if I'm Bra, I'm just going to try and go over towards North George as soon as possible and leave Papra Supermassive to their devices in South. And to be the first, it might be this next game, the first time in a long time that we see Papra Supermassive have a drop spot all to themselves on Erangel.
Yeah, definitely could be. We'll have to wait and see if those adjustments come through, if we're going to be treated to that. It was the top 4 as well that maintained distance. A couple of elims being thrown towards the top of the tables. I think almost all of them were able to get a couple of points there. I think Fireflux was kind of the outlier. They did fall to the fight, but and they didn't really get too far into the match. So again, a little bit of a misstep for Fireflux. They may be the team that is going to get pushed aside if they're not careful. Fortunately, not too many of the teams beneath them did super well either. So they do maintain a little bit of a buffer zone for the time being.
I think Fireflux didn't play that game too badly, honestly. I think that, in my humble personal opinion, I think it's a very, very difficult area of the map to play anyway. Fireflux did their best, but again, there's so many angles, so many positions that you've got to play from. Regnum Kaya had a strong spot that was overlooking where they were trying to move in. So yeah, they had a tough time because of that. Now, could they have played it differently? Sure, but I do think that he did a pretty decent job, and it's an unfortunate fall from them at that point in time. But you can't win them all. You can't win them all, John. Again, seeing Fireflux consistently up towards the top 8, for me, that's a promising sign.
Yeah, I think so. In terms of morale, it's going to be good. But I think that it will weigh pretty heavily on their mind that the first half of their day was pretty trash, right? Like they're going to be aware of the fact that it was all on some very big performances towards the end of the day that have really carried them to this position on the tables. So whilst yes, I think that it is a good sign that they still have that potential, it's not a good sign when it comes to looking at the floor of their performances, because we've seen it now in the first match of the day. They weren't really able to do anything. And again, a very minimal point scoring game for them here. It's going to feel pretty shaky. As we take a look at our MVPs, this is going over to Papara Supermassive. Lost, able to earn this accolade. 5 elims, 659 damage. No assists though. The guy's just doing what he does.
Yeah, he's one of the last standing members for the team, and I think that he did a fantastic job to keep himself nice and healthy in that one, and keep the team alive. Remember, they went down to just one player up against their fight between them and the Falcons. So they go 1-0 today versus the Falcons, which is nice to see. Hopefully that can continue going forward, or at least they don't have to play against them in Pachinki. I think they realize now that, well, we don't have to drop there, and we can still do significantly well when we don't drop there in the first place. Here are our match statistics for that match, with Cause getting 664 damage. The board's still out on parade at the moment. Kamikaze getting the most grenade eliminations from Papara Supermassive.
There you go. There is that sweep across, and of course, the balls are on here, right? With highest damage, they had an interesting engagement over on the north side with Ida, and then the Falcons kind of just completely took the exact same position that the balls were in, which I think overall that engagement was pretty interesting, right? The dynamics at play were, as I said, interesting, right? There was a lot of rotational play around the buggy, especially rotating out for Ida over towards the Falcons position. Falcons doing pretty well there to get a couple of points on it, but do go down in the end. And then let's take a look at the Papara Supermassive points tallies here. Lost, able to get 5 knockouts, 5 elims. He does his own work. This guy, he's kind of insane on that match.
Yeah, fantastic result from him. I do think that he put in a massive amount of work for the squad, and it makes sense that he would do that. So, again, very, very happy to see Lost able to keep the team in it. A strong team overall. They have been struggling. I want to see more out of them. I think that this can't be a flash in the pan for them if they want to get over towards the top side of the lobby, or even just earn some more money, because they were quite far behind. But this game certainly has shot them up the standings just a little bit.
Yeah, they'll be happy for that little revitalization shot. This was the interesting decisions for everybody going into the tunnels there against Regnum Kaya, and nobody having a good time of it. And then we get the replays, of course, on this wide swing from Eren. Able to clip them with the front axle there on the buggy. Novalo does manage to save the day, and IDA do actually end up going down as he gets that cheeky little spray down over towards Eren and their position after the reses. So after that, they weren't able to get Ralph back up. You could see his health bar was low, so they had to play on as 3. If they'd have been 4, maybe things would have been different, but not to be this time around. Papara Supermassive, they had the hilltop, they played it well, they took the shots when they needed them, and they got a lot of elims for their trouble.
Oh, they did. I mean, Regnum Kaya, Regnum Kaya goes out early, but at least for Shelter able to get some points back on board. I don't think this is the worst game in the world for Falcons either, by the way. I think they didn't do too badly. Able to get some eliminations. It was a bit of a awkward scenario where you just finished the fight with balls only to find yourself in another scenario. This is where it all went wrong for BW Interacts. They had 4 players versus the 2. Ooh, it's criminal. It's criminal. That doesn't bode well at all for BWNRX. I think that would kill my mental game, personally. Pablo Supermassive, 22 points. Wow, well done. Bra's also able to get 11 somehow. BWNRX come off that game with 11 points, so another okay map for them. I mean, they certainly weren't happy with it. So overall today, they have earned 20 points, which is a good dent towards the top side, but they need more. They still need more.
I mean, absolutely. Everybody seemingly needing a whole lot more. Regnum Karya is the team that now I think is the only one who's going to have a chance at chasing here. Maybe Kara as well with the 6 points they're able to earn. But Falcons, Boars, S2G, Fireflux all get points on this match. And sure, it's not a lot of points, but it will just keep the bar moving, right? At the moment, Fireflux will still be on that 4th place bubble with the 3 points that they got. I think that will leave them on 62 at the end of things, all things told. And Regnum Karya will be on 55, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there we go. 62 on the bubble for Fireflux and Regnum Karya 55 to see that drop off going. But then K1 on 48. They are quite far behind now on to that 4th place. And then you look up at 3rd place and it's 70 points. And that's even more daunting.
Yeah, it is hard. It's very, very hard for a lot of our teams to start jumping up again. And like I said, this is the first step of many for BWNRX that they'll have to take here. So we'll see just how well they can do over the next 4 matches of today. Fireflux are able to stay there at 62, but they are slipping. Falcons are eking it in still with 70 points. But S2G continue to just pump out points here and there. I think they went down quite early that last game, which is a little bit uncharacteristic for them. Fenerbahce at 40 points in 8th place. You head over towards our second page. You see that BWNRX certainly turned things around a little bit with 37 points, equaling up there with Ida and Papra Supermassive.
Yeah, Papra Supermassive as well, jumping up from 15th place to 9th now. And I think that's probably, I mean, you said they weren't a 15th place team, right? And maybe they are a 9th place team. Maybe that's where they feel a little bit more comfortable. They were just rectifying that issue. Bra make themselves a little bit of headway as well on the tables. They rise from the bottom by 1 point, and on tiebreaker with Foot do end up losing that one. But they're in 15th instead of 16th, which has got to feel still pretty bad, but better than 16th.
Yeah, definitely. There by 1 point. It kind of feels like they're sharing that last place right now, Barsai and Bra. Potentially even games, but I think they once again have had that big fall off, which is sad to see. Definitely sad to see.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. It's a real bad time. Foot, I think another team that has had this massive fall off as well. We talked about them a lot yesterday. Is Thunder Talk. It's just not what we saw from them in the previous stages of this tournament, and we hope that they can do more. But for now, we'll wait for that to happen before we sort of bring it up too much. Again, it's sort of a road we've already trodden quite well, so I think probably best not go over that one again. But yeah, a lot of these teams towards the bottom, all it will take is that one chicken dinner to get a little shot of adrenaline, to get a bit of revitalization on side. And I think maybe they could start to climb up towards the front page. But at this point, I think anyone, certainly from like 12th and down, is going to have a basically impossible task to get up to the top 4. Front page is a good goal, though.
Front page is a good goal, I would say. It's a struggle, though. It's definitely a struggle. I'm excited to see if these teams can get themselves back on the bike. Realistic, BWNRX are definitely one of them. But
yeah, well,
get
all
on the
our
bike
teams
and on the road. It is the road. The Esports World Cup, 25th July through the 3rd of August. There are 4 slots available that we're looking for. That we're not looking for. I'm not looking for. All right, okay, all right. I'm not looking for. I'd like to go to EWC myself as a player, but I'm not that good. I'm just not that good. But some of these players definitely have a chance to. In terms of the teams, there are 4 slots available. 16 players, maybe some more with subs and coaches and analysts, but 16 players will be making their way through to that EWC on the 25th of July to 3rd of August. And tickets are now available, so make sure you pick yours up.
Yeah, head on over, check them out, because we will have 4 representatives from Europe taking part in the tournament. Who they are remains to be seen, but at the moment, S2G feel like a pretty big lock on that one, as well as actually kind of no one else feels like a massive lock right now in terms of their gameplay credentials. It's starting to become clearer and clearer that Boars are very likely to be there, but for now, I think there is still some competition to be had in terms of teams showing that they very much deserve one of those spots, right? S2G, first place league stage, first place knockout stage, currently first place in these finals. There's no question that they're a team that deserves it. What I'm interested in as well is the idea of a team winning via Smash Rule actually sort of reduces that bubble, right? Because if you're thinking about, oh, well, they're all going to play 18 matches, that's not guaranteed. We could be playing as few as 14 matches, right? And so you're going to reduce that boundary and potentially have a lower barrier to entry for that 4th place, which means that each point is proportionally more valuable, and therefore every chicken dinner.
Yeah, absolutely. I think. Sorry, you were saying a lot of words, and
There was a
those
lot of maths in
words
there.
were flying past my head, and it was a struggle for me.
I know when
struggle.
I know when it happens. I know what happens when I start talking about maths.
Yeah. I
shut
go, honk you.
Hit me with the snores. What the hell?
Yeah, sorry.
You know that bubble
Sorry, sorry.
glowing from like the anime bubble.
Yeah,
Grows
yeah,
on the
yeah,
nose.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think we have something on the stage at some
Do we?
point. Yes, I'm not sure what it is, but we'll find out alongside with you guys. But after that last match, I think that there was a lot that's up in the air right now. Will Boars continue to streak out towards that top side? Will Falcons be able to keep up with the rest of the lobby? I still think there is some players that are slightly lacking from Falcons. I think there is some bad trades that are happening there as well in the game. They're still a great team, though. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But let's head over to the stage. We'll see you guys soon.
Welcome back to the PMSL Europe, of course. We are in for our match number 3. It is Erangel once more. And of course, the hot drop has been alleviated. The deadlock has broken in the middle of the map. And for their adjustment, Papa Supermassive were able to claim a chicken dinner. Not entirely just because of that adjustment, but it was certainly a contributing factor. Let's take a look at our plane path as it heads in from the southwest side from Pmsl all the way up over towards Stalba, just a little bit to the west of it. And our teams will be dropping on out. And as I said at the end of the last match, I'll be interested to see where Papa Supermassive drop and if Bra drop over towards North George, if they're going to get on well there. It's going to shake up the region a little bit.
Then it will. Again, over towards that north side. It's still quite a long drop for Bra anyway, as well as Papa Supermassive. They do want to go for this, but they're dropping out slightly later. Whoa. I was really worried for a second there that they were going to give it a second go over towards Pachinki. But no, luckily we are going to head over towards South George around Crates area. Bra's dropping out much, much earlier, though. This time we're going to be heading over towards the south side of Hospital. Which is certainly an interesting approach to me, because Papa Supermassive, in my opinion, drop out where you should be dropping out if you want to go South George. And Bra's going to be late to the party here.
I mean, they're going for vehicles, right?
Sure, but if there's nowhere to go and you're already getting shot as you're coming into the compounds, it's not great news for you.
Yeah. No, you would think so. Circle goes up to the north side, so it looks like we might be in a shooting range hills finish. Of course, it could go anywhere within this circle, even Zaki, but it'd be pretty dramatic. At the moment, though, the Falcons grabbing the bikes, getting on through the loot. I mean, they've never been happier, right? In Pachinki, on their own, looting everything. They're feeling great. They're feeling themselves. They're having a great time. They're in the top 4. What more could you ask for? Luxury.
Nothing, really. It's fine. Life's good right now. Falcons, though, do want to get some more points on board, total-wise. Catch heading in towards the building. Got some loot. Fireflux, like you said before, slipping out from that top 4 now. Regnum Kaya chasing them. 55 points. Again, I think that for Regnum Kaya, they'd like to get in here alongside with their Turkish brethren. S2G as well as Fireflux. BWNRX furious after last game. Let's see if they can bring things back into the fold here.
I mean, they still managed to get, what was it, like 11 points, right? And the match before that, they got like 7. So they have had the best start to any day, of their 2 days. They have had their best start to the day today. And they've done more for their points totals over the last 2 matches than they pretty much did in the entirety of yesterday. So even though the situation itself is pretty galling, right? It's pretty upsetting. When you think about what the actual impact is on this tournament, it's done pretty well for them, right? Compared to yesterday's games. But you're right, in terms of that opportunity cost, it is a pretty big blow to them.
They could have got a lot more points that game. They had 4 players alive. Like, if they came out on top there's potential that they win that 4v3 versus Papara Supermassive. So, yeah, really quite rough. It could have been a whole different game for them. Set them up towards the high 40s instead of the high 30s instead. And I think right now that does hamper the boys on BWNRX. And that's halfway through the day now. On just 3 more matches after this one, we will have that first place locked in, and how many more extra points that will be needed to get that smash ruling underway.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see where that falls. I mean, if we think about what we were talking about, what we were predicting, that 50 point per day kind of metric to look good going into the final day, to be a qualifying team in the top 4, you sort of expect the first place team to be up higher than that, so potentially up to 120. So maybe that smash barrier could be set as high as 130 points, which not too many teams will be able to surpass at this point. The spray downs from Blackley Sports. Feinbra, they are denied entry to Georgia Pole, and it looks like they're in a bit of a tailspin.
Again, for Bra, they're just not having a good time versus Paparazzi Supermassive. Over on that northwest side of the map, they're struggling. They're definitely struggling. I think for Paparazzi Supermassive, this is wonderful for them. They're just earning more and more points off the back of this one. Black Esports got involved over there, as did Regnum Kaya, and Paparazzi Supermassive, the last nail in the coffin there for Bra, who, again, I don't expect too much more out of this team.
No, it's fair.
Teams down towards 13th and downwards, I think I would just count them out up towards those EWC slots at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I think that even I would go as far as maybe even 10th at this point. I mean, and I think that's actually being a little bit generous, to be honest. There can be those wild, massive Elim games, but the fact is that anyone from 10th downwards just hasn't really shown that the floor of their gameplay can keep those averages up to really make that impactful, right? Because we were talking about that bubble being somewhere probably up towards 150 if we go to all 18 matches. I don't see any of these teams being able to reach that at this point. You know, we're getting to almost halfway through their tournament finals, and they're nowhere near that mark. They just need to. They can't really do it with just the one big game. It needs to be a raising of the floor that does it. You can get 18 points extra on one match, which is huge, or you can get 1 point extra on every match, which is a lot easier to address, and it's a lot bigger of a read on a team's performance.
Yeah, I think when you look at this one in general, even over towards the top side right now, this is a plus. This is over the 10-point average right now for S2G. Like if we were to end things and they continue on this kind of streak, which does look promising as Paparazzi Supermassive finds a shot over towards Kelsey, they would be ending around about 180 points tomorrow after all of their games. At the end of today, it's probably looking roughly around 120, so it's 130 points that's needed to even hit the Smash ruling. So yeah, it's tough. It's very, very tough. I think if you look further down, I think you'd be reasonable saying it's probably going to be 120, 130 points for fourth place.
Yeah, it's very difficult to know where this boundary is going to be. First place is notoriously one of the most volatile positions to predict in terms of the actual score that will be in first place, because generally first place teams can have these massive runs. They have this ability, by virtue of being the strongest team in the lobby, have the ability to just go chicken dinner, 3 matches in a row, and get huge amounts of points and inflate that top spot. But also it could be as closely fought as 2 points difference between first and second. I mean, we saw it at the global stage, right, previously, a few times. So, it can be very closely fought there. So that first place position is one of the hardest point positions to actually predict based on anything, right? But if I had to guess, I would say the end of today is likely to look somewhere near 120.
Yeah, probably closer to that. It is difficult for sure. I think we generally, because we have cast these games so frequently and so often over the many years we've covered PUBG Mobile, sort of have like a sense for it at this point in time. Yeah, I think I'd agree with 120, 130. That's like roughly where I imagine that fourth place.
Yeah, well,
is going to be.
I mean, 120 for first place. I was talking about there for first place for 120. That's a 10-point average, right? Which is what we talk about being a really good metric.
Oh, I mean at the end of this tournament.
Oh, at the end of the tournament. Yeah. Okay. Well, it depends if the Smash rule happens, right? But if you go all 18 matches, that was what I was saying. 50 points a day. I'm expecting to be close to 150.
Footballers on our screens who really just haven't had the strongest of runs. I think up 4 has definitely kept that team together in terms of the glue of the roster. K1 not giving quarter over towards Fireflux as Matcap gets taken down on a roll down.
Nice little pick up
K1
there.
is chasing.
They do turn around though eventually. They thought maybe they could get a little bit more, but they're going to run slap bang into the forefront of Fireflux, who have lost a player. But we'll be getting on with the business as soon and swiftly as possible. I mean, the circle heading out this way keeps all of that Georgia Pole Delta in, and it makes it really difficult to actually play around, because you have to choose north or south. At this point, you're basically going to just have to pick a side and hope that you win, right, on that coin toss decision.
Yeah.
More of an estuary than a delta.
Yeah, I give you that. Like esports, points, 2 elims. They're just shy of that 13th off that I was talking about. But again, they do have to really pull the socks up overall. If they don't, you can have this scenario where they're just getting outclassed. I still think that they are one of the best squads when it comes to team play, but it seems like balls that are just causing problems for them. Just have large enough to make crazy plays on the map. Did you move that?
I mean, it's a hard south shift as well, right? It's basically touching the existing blue zone on that south edge. It really didn't make us wait too much longer to figure out where we were going to end up on this circle. So, I mean, that, to be fair, is a little bit of a blessing for our north side teams. They don't have to crunch in closer to the shoreline. It actually opens up the circle a little bit more than staying closer to the middle of where things were. Quite a few teams trying to push onto Everest, though, as you said. Ida already having that outpost. Falcons to the southeast. Foot, Fireflux. I think K1 also all trying to push in onto that angle and see if they can find the shots. But it's K1 fending off against Fireflux. They did spot them on the rotate earlier. Easy for Bad Boy has been knocked, and they definitely want to get him back up. He is putting in the lion's share of the shift right now for the roster, so can't be letting him go down without a fight.
Oppressive Massive. 3 limbs so far. Very, very happy with the way that's worked out. Ida, though, this is a common position on the map that they played multiple times over towards Everest. I hope they've learned a lot of lessons playing up in this position. But we'll see as we go through, because I think they're one of the teams that has had the most amount of time played over towards Everest, and the most amount of time is getting punished for playing on Everest. So, yeah, they had a lot of good learning experiences, I would call it.
The thing I'm interested in at the moment is that this is a third game now with Fireflux going low early. They haven't got any points so far. They've lost 3 of the players. They're only playing on as 1. Very much in danger of going down here. K1 have been spotted. That's BWNRX, who went on a wide sweep down from the southeast side. A little bit of a crash coming on in, and Capri's nearly able to whip it around for a second, but will be shut out in the meantime, leaving only 2 of them left standing, and Kara want to try and take a slice of the pie. Won't be able to find it, though, unfortunately. Have to cover back off, and the rest of Kara look at a push in from the south.
Ida will just be watching this high ground spot. There is a lot of teams down towards our southeast side. Kara, Fenerbahce, BWNRX, Falcons all playing on that position. It's a tough spot to play as well with the way that the circle lies at the moment. You do have a lot of space just cut out, basically, around Everest. Where you have to make that horrible run down towards the southwest through the fields, or crunch yourself past that open ground that Balls is currently holding on the north side with that compound that sits out in that open flat zone. So yeah, it's a hard decision for a lot of our squads on the southeast. I think your Black Esports, Barsai, Regnum Kaya, you've all been very happy with the decisions you made early to pick up crates.
K1 moving Slonic in there. Fireflux do go down, and again, they don't move very far. They started today, Blank, on 59 points. They've only managed to get 3 so far in the first 3 matches. They did have a massive turn up in the final 3 matches of yesterday, so maybe we'll see a repeat performance, but Regnum Kaya not going to allow that to be easy. Falcons, they're trying to push up towards Foot on the east point of Everest as they to get around it and get a little bit better. They've left 1 player towards the back lines here of the Falcons, and that's going to be fending off anyone who tries to step close to them there. Yekta, though, lobbing those nades down, and that is going to really hurt as they find their way over towards Ralph. Doesn't quite fully get that flush, though, and Foot are putting a lot of impact here now onto this point. The nades do answer, and they do get that knock, which is going to slow Foot down. Maybe the opener they're looking for. That backline coming into play as well as Fenerbahce try and swing through. Foot may have bitten off a little bit too much here, but they find Koa, and that will be a nice pickup for them. Ralph did get rezzed and will start the heal.
Fenerbahce on the sidelines. We can head over towards that top side. Foot also struggling, and it is the Falcons crunching in. And again, it's a case of not moving down towards the west or the east. He's going to straight over Everest here and try and make it work.
Ida are chiming in now as well. This is a 4-party engagement Blank right on the edge of the zone. Falcons looking to try and disengage from their unfavorable angle. They know that the sightlines from Fenerbahce, from Ida, will start to crush in on them, and they just want to take the fight with one team. It may not be super favorable or the best way to take the fight up the hill, but it's the best when there are off angles, when there are third parties just around the corner. And they have managed to find Doka Machine. Falcons doing well to align this fight between them, Fenerbahce, and Foot. They've put Foot right in the middle there, and they will crumble under the pressure. Now Fenerbahce are also in the middle of it. Falcons, I think, may have had a master stroke to be able to push themselves out to this east point.
It is wild that Falcons have been able to make this work, by the way. It's also funny to me that every team had the exact same decision. I mean, I set it up earlier where it's a case of you move over towards the north, you deal with balls, move down towards the south, you're in the field. So what do they all do? All try and push over the top of Everest. Quite funny to me. Falcons are struggling now, though, as another goes down. Now just the 1 player up remaining in Redox. And can he make it work? There's 2. There's 3.
He's able to do so much work, and there's only 1 player now standing on the top of Everest against the Falcons, trying to push in against Ida with the backstab. Papara Supermassive looking across open ground, and it's just icy for S2G out of these warehouses. Everybody trying to clamber their way over to the east side of South George. A nice nade on the bounce there. Sees another player from Papara Supermassive unhappy.
Goodness me. What a wild engagement it has been so far. And Redox finds Solke. There is a nade back from Simple Domak finding 2. And it's down to Redox once again. This nade looks close. Redox sidesteps it. But he's so low. And this last nade in the pocket could be the finisher. It goes too far again.
I thought it was going to be there, but Redox fades away. The blue zone's pushing in 2 seconds. This res needs to be fast, Blank. They need to get back up on their feet. I don't think Narvalo's going to be resable here with the stage 5 circle. You can't res out in the blue. Unless they have a vehicle, this is going down. But Fenerbahce, can they get out of it either? With their only player left standing, they're going to have a real tough time. The backseat sprayed down by Tron as everybody on a mad dash. Finally, the Falcons take another knockout their way, but Redox and Koa are still alive. Koa looking to get the healing done, tries to push on forwards. The nade is in, and Simple Domak goes down. Falcons weather the storm for 1 moment longer. Ida no longer there. They've been replaced, usurped. I think, is that BWNRX?
This is just a ridiculous fight over towards Everest. Absolutely ridiculous. And everyone has just had to go up over the big old mountain. It's the only possibility. S2G's been on a mad dash, a mad run to get over towards the crates here, but plenty of damage done. And it will be Hamzy G going down. Zeptimus takes a tag from the DPS. That's all there is to it. S2G out in 12th place with just the 2 eliminations. As Falcons attempt to get down the hill, Koa will be dispatched, and the Falcons will be no more, as the Boars will be the final arbiters over on Everest.
The big story here, Blank. Regnum Kaya. They are chasing Fireflux for a spot in the top 4. They could potentially set their sights on Falcons in their position on the southeast side of the crates. They control a run-out position. They control the open ground, trying to push in towards it. They have a lot of opportunity here to put a massive dent in these scores. I think for Regnum Kaya, this is an opportunity that they can't afford to lose.
I think you're 100% right. For Regnum Kaya, there is a lot of room for a huge amount of step up from this team. Fireflux out, Falcons are out, S2G's out, Boars are on their last 2 legs, or last 4 legs in this instance. Regnum Kaya has a big chance to start climbing up that ladder as plenty fall off it at that top side. This is opportunity for a lot of teams to catch up now. The stairway clears a little bit.
And the issue, in terms of catching up, sure, but K1 Carrot not looking super good right now in terms of getting a super high point score on this match. Boars looking like they're going to go down there. A lot of the teams that have prospect are at the bottom of the table here. Barsai, you've got Thunder Talk, you've got Black Esports. All of these teams, Ida as well, right? Who actually managed to get off the hilltop. Okay, I thought they'd gone down to a fight with BWNRX, but no, they sailed down Everest. Probably one of the only teams to transition pretty successfully from that scenario, as BWNRX still caught up in it. But a lot of the teams that are chasing are so far behind. It kind of is only Regnum Kaya that can put a dent in this in terms of changing the top 4 right now.
Regnum Kaya doesn't look to be in the happiest of spots, constantly taking shots from the side, and you wonder how many resources they've got to work with going forward. BWNRX looking to make their cross, and this is a dangerous cross for them. Out directly in the open. Barsai over on our western edge. They're going to get cut out soon, and I think, honestly, a lot of the teams that came off from the Everest and around the area are quite happy with the way this circle works, where, look at this, northwest side, just tons and tons of teams all crunched in.
There go the Boars.
BWNRX might just have a field day.
Could potentially be an opportunity, but they are just so bowed down. I mean, with the Boars going out, that will open them up, right? That will open up those sightlines a little bit more. And you're right, maybe it is open season for them. But Kara holding this building in front of them as well have got an opportunity to do damage in the same way. The question is, which side of this road does this circle shrink next?
Yeah, I mean, if it goes over towards the southeast, it really is a field day because it'll be ending out in the fields.
I get it.
But over on that northwest, if it heads back that way, I mean, both BWNRX and Kara are going to be living a really, really tough time. And you can tell that no one wants to move. Everyone's taking shots out over towards Kara because everyone wants a piece of this building when it comes down to it.
It would be great for them. The ridgeline, chilling out. Look, there's even a horse out there. Idyllic right now. But not for long. Teams are going to start to get compressed. Everybody, I think, currently is into this next circle, and nobody is making any moves right now. With 8 teams alive, there is a threat in every single container. And you do need to be worried. Black Esports actually looking to get closer and into a warehouse. A big bid for control here as Aussie sails in. Is there a player on the inside of this? I think there is. They did not scan the angles, and he's just tearing through him. It's Nico. Absolutely dominating on the inside, but fortunately Aussie with a sliver of HP just about pulls it back together, but the nade over the top finds that re-knock. Goodness me, they just didn't check out the angle. They had no idea there was someone in there with them.
It's a dangerous push. It's a very dangerous push. Also, the rest of the TTQ's on the outside, so it's not like there was a lot of noise inside that building either. At this stage of the game, you've got to assume that every little area that is free to play, that's going to be taken at some point. Nasty Circle centers up on the road of all places. Regnum Kai is still in this one, just about, alongside with Ida. Go over towards their north.
Taking shots, they will find a player from bar site. BWX Ria still chilling out in this field behind the ridgeline. Kara yet to dispatch them. Try and make their way through the crates. It's the teams that are closer to the corner that are going to have a good time here. Ida will have to be maybe preoccupied with Thunder Talk here. After they do manage to get Nico back up and alive. They'll survive it. Oh, BWRX make the push. They take care of Kara. All of their players get across, and now they have the building as well.
Yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely huge for them. For Kara, they expended so much utility earlier. And for BWNRX, what I will say is big respect to them where they were very cautious about using their nades too flippantly. They've actually saved a ton of them for this endgame. Because for BWNRX, they know as much as we know that this can't be a lackluster game, right? This has to be a bunch of points accrued off the back of it. So they had to... Okay.
Oh, no.
They had to play it very smartly and cautiously. Not quite like that play right there. But to the point where they had to do it dry over towards Karen to make sure they had the utility on side for this endgame.
Outside trying to cross, Merciless will be spotted, sprayed down. Nico takes a look over to the firing squad across the field, across the road. They're having a bad time. 6 teams now remain. We're into stage 7, soon to be stage 8, with one more circle shift. It could potentially dictate as to if BWNRX are going to get the game or not. The next zone will display in 10 seconds, and Barsight do fall, leaving 5 teams now remaining.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
See,
Fine.
this is where BWNRX really needs to capitalize, right? They're on 5 elims. It should be a chicken dinner, okay? They could make some big mistakes. It could go to another team. Equally, they could lose a lot of these points to Regnum Kaya.
I mean, Regnum Kai are pretty desperate to get these points on board as well. You can see they're 14 points behind the Falcons right now, and they have already overtaken Fireflux, gotten into 4th place. If they can accelerate away, this is great news for them. Regnum Kai are now back in the race for the top 4 places. Thundertalk wanted to try and push in as well. Dropping the smoke. Nico, bit of a hero, really. Single-handedly dealing with the aggression from Black Esports. Did get knocked, but they've got him back to his feet. He's got the MG3.
This is a crazy play from Regnum Kai. They're going to try and make the move out over towards BWNRX. They're taking shots. The nade should be in hand. A drive-by in place. Hikari gets taken down. And it's all gone wrong.
Regnum Kai roll them down, and BWNRX